Greetings, beautiful people. So in this video I'm going to talk about basically, like, are you really where you at in your current moment in time? Are you content? Are you happy? Are you doing what you want to do? And here's the crazy part, okay? For a little while, we want to talk about in this video, like, being born again. And the reason I say that is because if you really look at the way the cycles of your life have gone, all right? You see how religious people, they talk about born again Christians and all that type of stuff. Notice how they may have been at a certain state in their life, and then all of a sudden, now they have a strong belief in their religion, and they talk about life changing and stuff like that. But the reason it's life changing is because, you see, your beliefs and your emotions shape your reality. Now, really looking back at my life, I must have died a few times, okay? And the reason I say that is because, and I'm gonna get to the part about if you're doing what you're doing at the current moment in time, but going back in time, I mean, I've always been a manager in all my jobs, and then there was a little gap where I was working as a bartender for 5 years. But one thing I've noticed is I've always kind of escalated myself and done better than everybody else at the position that I'm in, kind of outshining everybody. And the reason why, basically, it's basically charisma. It's basically just being a little bit more clever than everybody else when it comes to doing certain things, and just positioning myself correctly in certain things. And this is even before I went through this whole, like, the awakening thing we want to talk about. But one thing I could tell you is this: I became a head bartender, all right, literally within the first year. And they weren't even like, and the reason I became a bartender is because I was in school, and I was working at Blockbuster Video first, and that Blockbuster Video job, I was in high school, and then Blockbuster went out of business. We already all know that. And then after that, I went to work at Express Clothing. And in Express Clothing, I went in as a manager because I've already had the experience in Blockbuster as a manager. So I was getting paid very, very well. But when you work in clothing, it's about the most stressful thing you can, like, it's one of the most stressful jobs you have. The benefit is that I was able to direct everybody to, like, because this is one of those jobs where you, like, they're very visual, like the marketing, like, it's about having the mannequins, to the T, and having planograms up to par. But if you really want to look at this, is like one of, like, let's say, for example, you have somebody fold a stack of shirts, and it's like, maybe a yay high stack of shirts. There'll always be a customer that wants to pull that bottom one and just knock the whole stack over after somebody just, like, literally, like, folded that whole stack. So this is one of those jobs. And then, of course, when it wasn't fixed, of course, you would have to have them fix it. But the whole thing here is that you, as the manager, cannot leave until everything is fixed anyway, even though you're not the one fixing it. So it's always one of those jobs where you were there after closing. You're there for, like, literally a couple of hours more after closing. So I mean, whatever, that's, like, besides the point. But it really is one of those jobs where it was a little bit more of the stressful jobs in my life. But then the reason why I left that job was for that very same reason, because when I was going to college now, college, basically, I couldn't do college and go to school, and work at that job. So what I wanted to do was bartend. Now, the bartending career that I got, I made crazy fucking money. And I'll tell you right now, I made really good money. There was moments where, like, because I only worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I was going to school Monday through Friday. So it was like the perfect job. But I was making like $500 or $600 a night, which is great. And then, and it was a gay bar, all right? And you already know that, here's the beauty part, is that I was always behind the bar. So it was kind of like I was always just an image to somebody. But it was great money, okay? The whole time I was there, I've had so many different, in the 5 years that I was there, it was like experience after experience after experience, just meeting new people. And till this day, there's even a couple of gay friends that I have that are actually, like, literally super good friends of mine. So, I know what it's like in that environment behind closed doors with, how to manage yourself with certain people and stuff like that. But you're always just a fantasy to those people if you know how to manage yourself, of course, because I'm not gay, but you know, you just have to know how to manage yourself. All right. So the funny thing here is that I met my girl, okay, which is the girl that I'm with now, and you know, we had a baby and everything. I was still bartending at this job. She met me while I was bartending. She didn't meet me at the bar, but she met me while I was bartending. And you know, we ended up having a kid together and everything. And the crazy thing here is that you know, she looked through my phone because I had a text like at 2 in the morning, and it was like it was on my day off, and it was like a drunk ass customer, and he was you know, just texting some gay shit to me. And you know I woke up and my girl was just sitting in the bed, and I was like, what the fuck? It was like 2 in the morning, and I see her, she's got her arms crossed and she's just sitting on the bed. I'm like, yo, what's up? And she's like, she showed me the text, and I'm like, oh man. So, you know, I had to explain it to her. I'm like, you know, listen, this is my job. It's not, you know, it's just fucking, it's a lie. It's fantasy. You know what I mean? It's like you just string these people along. See, the whole time while I was bartending, I didn't feel right doing what I was doing, because you have to string these people along in order for you to keep this clientele. And I always had the fullest bar, you know, but the money was awesome. I mean, I'm talking about Gay Pride. Let's say Gay Pride came along. Gay Pride, I was making like $2,400 in one night. And then, you know, when you talk about, like, let's say your birthday or like another bartender's birthday, you're easily bringing home like $9,000 or $1,000 in that night. So, and it was like, I'm not stripping, like, you know what I mean? I'm just fucking serving drinks. I had the slickest way of, like, you know, tricking people into thinking I was drinking, but I really wasn't drinking. It was just basically me having that quick flick of the wrist to use that spill mat to my advantage. But anyway, and I got people, you know, I made bets with people saying I was going to drink 40 shots in one time, and I literally spilled 40 shots, where I waited till that customer went to the bathroom for me to, like, literally spill that mat, that spill mat over. But, you know, through that whole time, I didn't feel right. Like, it was just, you know, you're stringing these people along, you're playing with their feelings and stuff like that. These people genuinely, like, grow feelings for you, you know, and it was, like, something that I didn't feel right about. And then, you know, and then through that whole thing, it was like something that was meant to be. Like, my girl saw those messages, and I'll tell you right now, to this day, I never regret that ever happening. I probably wouldn't have left the bar because of the amount of money I was making. But basically, you know, my girl and I were arguing and talking about this for like a couple of weeks, and I finally told her, I'm like, listen, if I leave the bar, can we, like, get by this? Because I was already over it. I didn't want to deal with it. And to me, my family was more important than the job or how much I was making. So she said, yeah, if you leave the bar, we can get over it. And she never mentioned it again. She kept her word on that. And, you know, for a while, it was uncomfortable. She thought I was gay and shit. But, you know, that whole shit is over. I mean, she understands what it is. But at that time, you know, I met my girl when she was 19 and I was 30. You know, and I'm 39 now. And she's 28 or 27. She's 27. She's going to be 28. But yeah, she's 28. All right, so I hope she doesn't see this video. I forget her age, but check this out. You know, I actually was trying to get a management job again, but for some reason I couldn't find a job. Like, after I left the bar, I couldn't find a job, and I've always been into the fitness industry. This is what I was going to school for, was like nutrition and you know, biochemistry and stuff. So I went to school, finished it up, but I didn't finish my last year and a half. So I tried to get a job because I needed income now. I have a kid now, and, you know, I moved out with her. And basically, I ended up working at GNC. All right, and GNC, I interviewed with the regional sales director. He was super impressed with me. Like, I'm talking about impressed that he wanted me as a manager, but he didn't have any openings. Plus, he also said that he would hire me, but the company doesn't hire outside people. They only hire from within. They don't hire outside talent. And I mean, that literally changed now, but when I was trying to get the job, it wasn't like that back then. So it's funny how I started working. I said, you know what, I'm gonna just fucking take this job. I'm not working, I need something anyway. My first job was 30 hours, of course, and the check after my first week of work was the most depressing thing I've ever seen in my life, okay? From me making $600 a night, which I'm only working 5 hours a night because I go in at like 10 and I was coming out at like 4 in the morning, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, so it was 6 hours. And I was making between $500 and $600 just a night, just 5 or 6 hours, all right? And here I was making $200 in an entire week of work, and I was depressed like a motherfucker, all right, like fucked up. But I hung on, and my girl was telling me, just chill out, you know, just let it be, ride the wave, you know, and she talked me through it, you know, and she was making good money. She was like, you know, in the medical, she's still, you know, in the medical industry, and she was making good money, so she was, you know, kind of holding it down for us, you know. And either way, I mean, I still had money from my savings. I still had a good amount of money, you know, saved up, so it was okay. But you know, and here's the crazy part though. And I worked hard, and this is where I've made, if you watch my previous videos, you know, who or what are you, I explained exactly how I climbed up the ladder in my workplace. And if you haven't watched that video, who or what are you, go back and check that out. I was a little intoxicated in that video, but when I tell you I was talking straight from deep inside, man, you better go check that video out. So here's the thing is, I learned quickly, and I learned the operations. A lot of times, like, you know, they didn't hire outside talent, but the talent they hired from within were literally fucking good sellers, but these people weren't good operations. And to be a manager, you needed to not just be a good seller, but you needed to be good at operations. Because you see, you would get audited by loss prevention, by the regional sales director, the district manager, you know. And it's crazy because the GNC is very, very operation driven, yet they were just hiring people just because they were good sellers, which is fucking weird to me. But anyway, I noticed that while I was in the store, I was learning from the mistakes that the managers were making through the visits, which it benefited the manager because, again, I was more efficient in my job, and they were able to succeed more. But long story short, I eventually got a store, and from there, I mean, I boosted. I mean, I passed every visit, everything you could possibly think of. Loss prevention, I was, you know, loss prevention certified. Regional sales director came over, was completely, he's the same guy that interviewed me, and he loved me, man. He was like, always like, he looked out for me and did the best he could to try to get me up the ladder because he knew what the fuck I was about. And not only that, but dude, when it comes to selling, man, I was building stacks for customers that you wouldn't even believe. And not only that, but through my career as a manager, I helped so many people get promoted. I moved people up the ladder like you wouldn't even believe. This is a trait that none of the managers in GNC had, because they didn't want to get rid of none of their talent, because they knew that if they promoted that good employee that deserves to be a manager, they would have to work harder. See, because they were doing what I did. I had people assign. I gave them this idea is to assign these associates or assistant managers a DOR, which means a duty of responsibility. See, a lot of managers, they want to do shit themselves because they think like, you know, their associates or their assistants aren't going to do it, you know, the right way, and they're afraid that they're going to fail audits or loss prevention audits and, you know, regional sales director visits and stuff like that. So they were always like very scared. But me, what I did was I took my time and trained them, and the reason I trained them is because I wanted, and I rotated their duty of responsibility weekly, so they became super sharp on point. If they ever needed a manager, they can depend on any one of my staff to get promoted, and that's exactly what was going on. So that I was also, and I was such a good seller that I was always like watching how somebody was selling. But what I did is I jumped in on the sale, but I let them know, hey, you're gonna have this sale. Let me just jump in and try to build this up for you. But as I was building this, because I noticed that they'll sell a stack, but then I saw an opportunity to add something else, and you could kind of gauge it from the, you know, body language of the customer if they were, you know, willing to spend money, or, you know, because some people they want to lose weight, they'll fucking pay whatever to lose weight. And some people want to build muscle, they'll pay whatever to build muscle. Some people want to be on a budget, but I had the nice slick way of explaining it to them that, you know, you pay for what you get. Basically, when it comes to supplementation, you pay for what you get. But I was also educating the customer on the labels. I was educating the customer on diet plans and stuff like that. So I was doing my job to the fullest of my capacity. But you know, let's say an associate built $150, $200 stack. I jumped in and made it a $350 stack and upped their PMs, which is their commission, basically another like 40%. And they were super appreciative. But during that process of me helping them out, they were also listening to what I was doing as I was selling. So they became more efficient sellers, which means that when I wasn't in the store, it was like there was a bunch of mini me's in the store. Okay, now none of the managers did this because they wanted to just take the sales for themselves. Very, very ignorant way to do shit, but whatever. It's just like certain businesses, even GNC is very stupid to some extent because they kind of push to the managers to have an average ticket, you know, that's like of $50 or $60, not knowing that they sell bars and drinks like energy bars and shit. Some people don't want to buy stacks. They just want to go in there and buy a fucking energy bar and drink. So what happens is that these managers and associates will start treating those customers bad or not really the way they're supposed to because they're not buying a lot for them. Or sometimes, man, I saw this one manager say, oh yeah, we don't, you know, the bangs were like at $1. You know, for promotion, you buy 6, you get six for $6, and there was a ton of people coming in, but they hid the bangs in the back, so they were like, oh, we sold out, only because they didn't want their average ticket to go down. Like, how do you stop money from coming into your register because you want to keep your average ticket up when you have a yearly sales goal? You know what I mean? It's just like the most stupidest thing people do. And you know, me, I made a $950,000 store, which was the store that I was running in Brooklyn, and I made it into a $1.3 million store in 1 year. But because I was selling everything. Shit, if I was making sales plan, I'll make it selling water. So getting back on point though, all right, I mean, this was just kind of like a little education on what goes on in the business world of retail. But you know, I was gonna be a regional sales director for GNC, and you know, I was fucking hyped, man. And then here's the thing: the divisional sales director of GNC left GNC and became a real high-ranked position in a company called Performance, which was a supplement company, and eventually he became the regional vice president for them. So he remembers how good of an employee I was at GNC, that before I became a regional sales director, he intercepted and pulled me out of GNC and put me in a position as a market manager for Performix, getting paid like a regional sales director or possibly even more, but not having the duties and responsibilities that a regional sales director has, because their job is stressful. They got a lot on their plate, right? And they're only running a region, which is 33 stores or 31 stores. And me, I was running 143 stores, which was like basically, you know, part of the whole Northeast, you know, New York, all the boroughs, you know, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten, Long Island, Brooklyn, and then, you know, parts of Westchester, White Plains, and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys are familiar with, whoever watches this, but if you're familiar with the Northeast. But, you know, and I was running all these GNC stores. Man, when I tell you I blew up, I was like, because I was already like such a good you know, manager at GNC. I was running a few stores before I became a regional sales, before I was going to get promoted to a regional sales director, that I mean, these people were on board. They were selling the Performix brand like crazy, like water. They were selling it like crazy, right? So I became top ranked. And then, funny enough, you know, I was with them for 4 years. I started going through this awakening, all right? And now, supplementation, this bodybuilding industry, the fitness lifestyle that I was once so passionate about, I started losing the passion for it because I started to see things so much more differently. I stopped eating animal products, which when you're a bodybuilder, that's basically the big staple to everybody's diet is animal product. And I'm gonna make a big video on why when you eat meat, people tend to, you know, say that they get big and whatnot. And it has a lot to do with your belief system. And believe it or not, how fucking strong your beliefs are. But basically, I was dying here. This was the death part, okay? I mean, along with me dying, the company was dying. Because the company, see, they were only a GNC exclusive. It's not like other companies where they were mass market. They were in like Walmart and Vitamin Shop, Vitamin World, all the mom and pop stores. No, we were just a GNC exclusive. So one moment to the next, what happened with GNC is that they stopped pushing third-party products and they came out with their own line, and they started pushing their own home brand. right? So that hurt us, and we tried the mass market after that. Even though we had a GNC agreement where we were going to just be GNC exclusive, they went mass market now, and they weren't making the same amount of money because the marketing wasn't the same. We weren't marketed to be mass market. We were just marketed to be GNC. So we tried the mass market, and it didn't succeed because of the fact that we were only a GNC exclusive. So nobody really knew about our brand unless you were a GNC customer. Market managers started dropping like flies. They started laying people off, and I knew that shit was coming eventually. And me, I was dying with the company already anyway, because my mentality was just going further and further away until it finally hit me, and I got laid off. Okay, and that was the death. That was the death part. All right. Now, through the death part, here's where people struggle when they're having an awakening. Your beliefs about everything, even including the system, the monetary system, everything will die. Okay, but this is the mistake that a lot of people make, and this is why they go through such a hard time and such a struggle. And the reason they'll go through the struggle is because they want to look at money as it's worth nothing, like it's just nothing, when in reality it is still energy. You got to look at it as love. It is still an extension of you, because you're here in this realm. You see, you're vibrating at the frequency of this realm, which is why you're here. This is why I don't believe in gurus or anything like that. Like, the only guru is you. Because if there was a guru bigger than you, he wouldn't even be in this realm. He would be ascended past this realm. Okay? But he is still here, which means he is still working his or her things out here in this realm. And we are all learning from each other. So when I talk about, let's say, the monetary system, the way relationships work, everything will start kind of, like you say, people start, like, you know, leaving your life. And the reason why is because your mentality changed. So maybe you're now vibrating higher to the extent that you're looking at things in a more you know, in a more spiritual way. But you got to have a balance between the spirituality and the material realm, because you'll start to look at the material realm as it doesn't matter. Maybe you had an awakening where you start to see this is only an illusion. But then what happens is your belief gets molded around that specific idea. And then when you want to live your experience here, how could you vibrate high if now you got problems with your bills? Because a lot of people can't even fucking work a job. And I was one of those. I can't work a fucking job. Okay. And this is where now you would have to, and I'm going to make this the next video, where you'll balance out. See, this is the thing though. Let's say if you are working and you hate your job. Okay. So what you would do is you're going to have to be more organized. With intent, you organize where you're going to put because your energy is very valuable. So you organize your time accordingly. So what you do is, since you're working, let's say a 9 to 5 or whatever your schedule is, okay, work your job, find something you like about it, but then start putting your attention to yourself, meditation, because people say, I don't got time to work out. Let's say there's people who have to lose weight, but I don't have time to work out. You always got some time to work out. You just don't make time. And you're Father Time, you're Chronos. You can make time. You create time. If you don't have time, it's because you don't put time. You don't create the time for it. I don't care if it's 10 minutes. You can meditate for 10 minutes. You could sun gaze for 10 minutes. You could stand on the ground for 10 minutes if you want. It don't matter. And you could do all that in one shot. Ground, meditate, and sun gaze at the same time. And it'll take 10 minutes if you don't have time. Okay? So this video is going to cut off, so I'll make that the next topic. But basically what you would do is you create a little bit of time. But the thing is, the intent has to be laser focus. And that's why the meditation is important, because the focus is only strengthened through the meditation. So what you would do is you put that laser stream, no distractions. Like I mentioned in my last video, with all the rain would be just all the distractions. You could still get wet. You could still collect water. Okay. But it's not something that would power a turbine. Okay. And shout out to LVX777 for that. That was fucking brilliant. And I'm using